It's a great pleasure to participate at this International Day of Monuments and Sites as member of Cultural Tourism and Cultural Landscapes committees. At ICOMOS, we are a big family, and being in different committees, I realize how important it is to coordinate our common goals. From the theory, and in my case, from my personal experience, I will demonstrate this statement, sharing with you how a huge rural cultural landscape can coexist in an island mostly dedicated to tourism. The present heritage and climate challenges are clearly connected to both cultural landscapes and cultural tourism. According to the UNESCO paper 26, the cultural landscape represents the combined works of nature and of man, and reflects the evolution of human society and its settlement over time. From Ken Taylor's book, Conserving Cultural Landscapes, we can highlight that a cultural landscape is a temporal process in response to human values which change over time. In the words of UNESCO, World Heritage means that the site, to some extent, belongs to all humanity, and tourism is the means to experience this supposed right. However, the site conservation is always a priority when the carrying capacity is surpassed, and that can even jeopardize the expected visitors' enjoyment. First, I would like to comment on the dichotomy between culture and tourism. In general, the tourism sector, unlike other industries, offers a product that is not owned or produced by them, which means the destination or the place. Quite often, the images of many photos taken by tourists show objects, buildings, or just landscapes whose owners don't get any profit from that. For that reason, the stakeholder involvement is a key issue to tackle. That means public sector, business sector, host community, acknowledged community, and last but not least, the visitor or tourist. All are important. To address these challenges, we trust that our ICOMOS General Assembly in October will approve an updating of our tourism charter, and we expect that it will be contemplated in most of the heritage management plans. Now, we can travel to my place, Mallorca, located in the Mediterranean Sea. The island is one of the main tourist destinations in Europe, and already in 2005 celebrated 100 years of the Mallorca Tourism Board. An average of 11 million visitors per year, not since COVID, of course, with a permanent population of about 1 million should impress us. Just in case anyone claims that it is a spoiled destination, UNESCO declared the Serra Tramuntana World Heritage as cultural landscape just in 2011. That supposed 22% of the island surface. If we analyze the criteria that demonstrate the outstanding universal value, the main ones are the dry stone building work for agricultural use and the water channeling systems. It was inscribed in the World Heritage List because it has a very strict level of protection. But at the same time, during the last 50 years, it has suffered the decrease of agricultural profitability, and many inhabitants left their rural activities to work in more attractive sectors such as tourism. The only way to improve the local economy is related to the local products. The aim is fostering proximity and slow food concepts for both locals and tourists. At that stage, the resilience approach is the key issue. According to this book, Resilience and Cultural Landscape, resilience refers to the ability to deal with disturbances or change without altering the essential characteristics. In other words, to identify and measure the thresholds that cannot be exceeded. This supposes identifying what we must safeguard to transmit from one generation to another, and what we can innovate or change. This is exactly how we can face climate change nowadays. Normally, a profitable model implies the adoption of new technologies and harvesting systems, but the authenticity is vital for the positioning of the products within a responsible tourism strategy. Please let me illustrate this statement with my family experience. We are located within the cultural landscape that I mentioned, and apart from orange plantations and ancient olive groves, we are the owners of the last oil mill that still produced olive oil by traditional system. Our local clients congratulate us for keeping it and even beg us to maintain it. We are, of course, very proud, but at the same time, our commitment to keep traditional systems make us less cost-effective. But here comes the care, resilience, and climate issue. We feel that keeping tradition is not only an image asset for our marketing strategy, but a responsibility we have towards our past and future generations. In 2020, we were granted the award of the best monumental olive tree in Spain, and that's an extra impulse for our survival and allows us to a more selected product segmentation, offering the oil from these trees as a symbol of tangible history. In September 2019, we had the ICTC study tour in Mallorca with direct contact with the main tourism and heritage stakeholders. The result is always a set of recommendations for the destination. We are pleased that some of our main recommendations have been adopted by both public and private sectors, and now Mallorca leads the most advanced climate change and responsible tourism laws. We can highlight the Balearic law on climate change and energy transition. The aim is to increase efficiency and energy consumption and go to the use of 100% renewable energy. Another example is the Balearic Government Sustainable Tourism Tax that was the first of its kind for a destination in Europe. The revenues generated are used for projects to reduce environmental impacts. And finally, a recent shift in tourism regulation is the new Sustainable Tourism Law. Adopted this year, focuses on a list of sustainability initiatives, and I just will highlight the main one, which is to encourage the implementation of circular economy measures to foster the use of local products and the reuse of waste. I expect that this real case can be useful for our image assessment. Thank you very much for your attention.